There's Something Off with the People on Campus by KrazyFrog. Hey everyone, I'm typing this on my phone, so I apologize if there is weird formatting. Anyway, to get to the point, there's something really off with some people on my campus. I have come seeking answers. I noticed it first walking home from my 7 p.m. class last Wednesday. To set the scene, most of the campus is tucked back into the woods a little. My 7 p.m. class is in the farthest building from the parking lot, farther into the woods. I get out from that 7 p.m. class around 9 p.m., so on cloudy nights like last Wednesday, the only lights on that long sidewalk are the lights radiating from the other buildings. Usually, there's roughly 30 feet where it's pitch black because the foliage is pretty dense. I usually walk back to my apartment with some classmates that live in the same complex as me, but I told them to go ahead without me while I finished the rest of a project. After packing my laptop away, I started heading back home. It was roughly 9:30 at this point, and my brain was slowly shutting down, preparing for the deep sleep that is yet to come. Walking down the sidewalk, I heard somebody not too far into the woods laughing like they just heard the funniest joke ever. I immediately thought probably some freshmen walking the trails with their friends smoking weed. Chuckling to myself, I put in my AirPods and picked a playlist for my journey back home. When I looked up from my phone, there was a silhouette of someone walking towards me. I have no idea how I missed them before, but honestly, it's very possible they were just in a spot where the light wasn't quite reaching them. A little unnerved, I shifted over to the left side of the sidewalk. Now, I'm usually fine walking alone at night. I'm a 6'2" man who's dabbled in the world of MMA. But something about this person gave me a primal feeling of unrest. When they shifted over to the left mirroring me, I felt my blood run cold. But alas, I had to keep walking because this was my only way back home. As I neared closer to the figure, I almost laughed at myself when I realized it was just some harmless girl walking towards the Murphy building. If anything, I'm the intimidating one to her. This is where it gets really weird. She stopped as I was passing her and turned to me. Thinking she needed to ask me something, I took an AirPod out and asked, "What's up?" After staring at me for an uncomfortable amount of time, she opened her mouth, and I kid you not, mimicked the laugh I heard just moments before perfectly. Before I could chalk it up to just being her in the trails earlier, I noticed something. Her mouth wasn't moving at all. If I had left my AirPods in, it would have just looked like she was just opening her mouth and staring at me. She then shifted into a deep, raspy laugh. She did all of this without moving her mouth at all. I couldn't even see her throat moving, as you would expect if someone was laughing. It was almost like she was some fucked up human-shaped gramophone. The feeling of absolute horror that came over me is something I've only experienced in my imagination. Before I could think of what to do next, my body began to run off some sort of primal instinct. With my legs burning, it took me about 10 minutes to get all the way back to my apartment and lock myself in relative safety. I'm coming on here now to ask if anybody knows what I experienced. I've been hearing that same laughter outside my window every night since that night. I am too afraid to sleep well, and I refuse to go to any of my classes. Please, I just want answers. I don't want to keep living in fear. Part 2. Hey everyone, I've gotten some DMs telling me what it may be. I've heard everything from Banshee to Skinwalker. After further research, I pray to God it was neither of them. I'm praying it was just some girl with a speaker playing some sort of cruel joke. I mean, yes, there are people who don't like me on campus. I've made some enemies over the past 4 years, but I just don't understand what could have brought it to this point. I had to stop hiding in fear and go to my classes before my grades plummet. I'm almost done with my degree, and I only have a few more weeks. If I let some sort of stupid prank ruin my career, it would be everything I swore against to my parents. A lot of you guys in the DMs were also asking about what college I go to and what my name is. First, I want to say sorry for not providing that information in the first post. I'm sure you can understand where my head was at typing that, so let me introduce myself. My name is Nick, and in order to keep my privacy, I will only provide that I go to a Midwest university. I'm sure you may be wondering, so did it just stop? Well, I'd love to say yes, but really, things have just gotten weirder. Though I am pleased to say that there is no longer laughing outside my window every night. Ever since that night, I've been noticing more things off with the people on campus. Now you may think it's just paranoia, but just be patient and listen. Yesterday, I decided to muster up all of my courage and go to class. Luckily, my first class is at 10 a.m., when the sun is well in the sky, so walking across campus seemed much less threatening. When I sat down in my first class, I noticed something off with the girl that sits in front of me. Usually, she's chatty and excited to be in class, but today she just stared blankly ahead. I tried to say good morning and ask about her weekend, as we do every Monday, but she continued to have that blank stare. She did turn her head towards me, but her eyes read, "Lights on," but nobody's home. Thinking to myself, she may have just been hungover, or going through the bout of college student depression, I decided to shrug it off and turn to the front of the class to get my notes ready. But the moment I turned around, I could feel it. Her eyes burrowing deep into the back of my head. When I flipped around to see if I was just being irrational, I quickly learned I wasn't. Her eyes went from a blank glare to the most enthusiastic face I've ever seen on her. It was horrible. It almost seemed like she was trying so hard to pretend that she was thrilled to be in class and to speak to me. It was inhuman. I've been on the internet long enough to catch on to the term uncanny valley, and what I witnessed in my first hour gives me that same gut feeling I got when I saw that girl last Wednesday. I was right to be uncomfortable, though. I texted her after class to make sure she was doing all right, but her response only reignited the flames of deep fear burning in my soul. I'll copy and paste the message here. "Hey, is everything good? You seemed off in class today." Steph, SCI 101. Yeah, I'm fine. But I was not in class today. I'm severely hungover from Tanner's party last night. Me. Haha, good one. Steph. No. It was so for real. Are you okay? Steph. Are you trying to fuck with me or something? Me. Never mind. Sorry to bother you. End of texts. Okay, so I'm sure that this gives you all the same feeling of dread that it gave me, but I'm sure it scaled down a bit. This is where I started to doubt it was a prank, because me and Stephanie are cool. There's no level of hate for either of us. And even if it was some joke, we don't know each other well enough. We don't know each other on that type of level. Not only did this seem to happen in my first class, but in between classes while I was walking across campus as well. I walked past hundreds of faces in my many treks across campus, and I swear to you, at least 1/4 of the people I walked past had that same dead stare look. And the way they walked, God, I hate even thinking about it. It was like they were an alien trying out their new bodysuits for the first time. The steps and the bends of their legs just seemed so meticulous, dramatized, puppeteered. I'm going to try to investigate further, because at this point, my fear for my life is more of a reason to try to figure out what it is so I can try to stop it. I'm no hero. I'm sure as hell nothing special. But if I can know what to expect from another encounter, maybe I can avoid meeting the demise I have imagined. Part 3. Writer's Note. First off, I would like to apologize for my 20-day hiatus. For those of you who are worried that curiosity killed the cat, so to speak, I appreciate your concern. On top of my investigation, I have also had to go through finals and work for a boss who didn't believe in life outside of work. So, let's start where we left off. I had a feeling that this task was left for me to solve. It may sound stupid, but let me explain why. And that night, after my last post, I had a dream that further solidified my need to solve the mystery. I tried to write all that I remembered down the morning after, so here's what I wrote. April 4th, 2024. I had a strange dream last night. Stranger than usual, at least. I woke in the woods, laying face down in the grass with someone looming over me. I heard their footsteps flee rapidly before I flipped over. I found myself just off the trail where the incident happened. On the trail laid a girl, bloodied and motionless. When I got up to approach her, she was quickly dragged into the parallel section of the woods. Seeing this, I turned and ran into the section of woods I was in. When my legs gave out, I found myself near an old supply shed, worn and long abandoned. Searching for cover, I tried the door, which luckily gave after a quick pull. There I found a trapdoor, which emanated a blue hue through the cracks. The only thought on my mind, survival,
brought me to throw it open and climb down. I clattered down the ladder, and right before my feet touched the ground, I was pulled backwards by my shirt. That's where I woke up. I've always tried to trust my gut, and having a dream that vivid gives me a sense of courage I did not previously have. I know where to start my search now. I've decided my best course of action will be to record my findings on a tape recorder. After I finish each entry, it will be uploaded to a cloud that will ensure if anything happens to me, the story will get out. I am packing my backpack now with a flashlight, glow sticks to mark the trail, and a machete I was gifted by a local in Mexico. All of my recordings will be uploaded below, and auto-posted after 10 days. Wish me luck, everyone. I'm gonna need it. Entry number 1. I have started out at the only place that makes sense, the trail. It's currently 1:45 p.m. and I have plenty of sun left in the sky. I just need to find exactly where to start my journey into the woods. Strangely, it was very easy to find. I recall one of these trees having a funky twist near the middle of the trunk, probably just 2 lovebirds trying to carve their name into the tree and realizing there were softer trees to carve into. Anyways, hiking further into the woods, I believe I can see the shape of the shed through the branches. I wish you guys could see how dense these trees are so you can understand my struggle. Entry 2. I made it to the shed, but unfortunately the floor in here is concrete. It really sucks for me because I have absolutely no idea where to go from here. It's identical on the outside, but I just don't understand. Maybe I'm just delusional. Which in that case, what a waste of time and energy. I'm gonna head back home, just start packing for summer. Maybe it'll be best if I just forget about all of this and leave it behind me. I am graduating after all. Wait, hold on, what is this? There's a button behind one of these shelves. I'm gonna press it. I don't know how it would work because this floor is seamless. I'm just gonna leave this recording, so if anything happens, I don't have to worry about holding the phone the whole time. Holy shit, the entire floor is lowering. It's a fucking elevator. Entry 3. Okay, so I've been going down this elevator for like 30 seconds. How far down am I going? Oh wait, hold on. I'm stopped. There's a metal door with a padlock. I guess since I have the machete, there's only one thing to do. Break it? I guess I'm going to use the blunt side so I don't ruin this thing. I like it too much. Well, I guess there's only one way to go now. There's no button to go back up, so I pray there's another way up. Fuck, I regret this. It's dark and I can tell it's a big area because it's so echoey in here. I'm currently praising my past self for thinking about the flashlight and glow sticks. I need to find out what in the hell this place is, and most importantly, if there's a damn light switch. Entry 4? God, this place is terrifying. I've been walking around the sterile white halls of this place for like 10 minutes, and I found nothing. No doors, no light switch. I feel like a rat in a maze. Also, scratch what I said about being glad I packed glow sticks, because my stupid ass only brought like 20 of these things and I'm already down to 5. Also, I feel like I'm not alone. Now and then, I turn a corner and see a glow from a previous glow stick quickly vanish. I feel like it might just be because the darkness seems to envelop everything like a blanket, but I have that feeling that I'm being followed. You know, the one where you know something is wrong and you just can't pinpoint what it is. Oh, shit. Oh, no way. There's light. I think it's a door or something up ahead. Entry 5. Holy shit, it's a lab. Worse, there are people strapped to tables, completely naked, unconscious. I know they're alive because each of them are hooked up with millions of different cords, and one of those are plugged into a heart monitor. This place is huge. There has to be at least 50 people on these tables. Hey you're not supposed to be in here, yelled the man adorned in a lab coat. What are you doing to these kids, you sick fucks? I yelled back at the man across the table. In a haste, the scientist rushes towards a red button, setting off a loud alarm, turning the lights into a flashing red. With no exit behind me, I could only do one thing. Rush towards him. My training kicked in as I launched into a flurry of calculated strikes. My first hit connected, a right overhand clean under the eye. The doctor stumbled back, but I didn't give him a chance to recover. I pressed the attack, keeping him off balance with a relentless barrage of punches and kicks. He fought back ferociously, but I was one step ahead, anticipating his moves and countering with swift, efficient strikes. We wrestled, the room around us becoming a blur of pain and adrenaline. I used the environment to my advantage, improvising weapons from the scattered medical equipment and turning the empty tables on my opponent. Pinning him to the ground, I laid down a harsh barrage of final blows. His face was a bloody pulp, unrecognizable. But I didn't walk away unscathed. Somewhere in the tussle, the scientist buried a scalpel deep in my stomach. With my adrenaline wearing off, the pain overtook me, sending me into darkness as I fainted from the blood loss and the adrenaline dump. I awoke with my arms and legs strapped to the cold metal operating table. Before I could even try to struggle, a face took over my field of vision. "Quite a fight you put up. You turned poor Dr. Sampson into a soup," the looming face said with a chuckle. "You are the first person to put these pieces together. And for that, I'm thoroughly impressed, Mr. Hayes." "Who are you?" I said, fighting against my binds. "Let me go!" "I'm afraid I can't do that, Mr. Hayes. You have seen far too much. And I definitely can't have you running around telling the world what you saw here. Although, nobody would believe you. And to answer your other question, I'm surprised you don't recognize me. Really, take a moment to look at me," he said, pulling down his face mask. "Dr. Blackwood?" I said, as I looked back on my freshman year biology class. "Ding, ding, 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 we have a winner," he said in a maniac joy. "What are you going to do to me?" I asked. "Well, Mr. Hayes, first, I'm going to sew you up from your little tussle you had with my late assistant, and then I'll put you under. You cut it into that skull of yours and take out a small piece of what we call in the science world your hippocampus. Then, I will draw from that all the necessary memories to create the perfect clone of you." He responded, "Why? Why would you need to clone any of us? Why can't you just clone someone willing to be a part of this?" I asked. "Because that's no fun, Mr. Hayes. The hunt excites me." "Actually, you're lucky I didn't get you the first night. Unfortunately, my creation had a little bit of a malfunction, formed a wee bit of an attachment to you. I'm sure you remember the ruckus outside your window. Anyway, I digress. Every one of you lowly students will go on to do mediocre jobs where you waste away at a desk. I must also add that with having a clone of you under my control, I can do anything and get away with clean hands. My plan with you originally was to have you go into the admissions office and steal every last cent, all for me. On top of that, I like the power, because one day I will have a clone of every student on this campus, and eventually I will cause a revolt against our comedy of a government. Who will stop me when I won't even be on the front lines?" Dr. Blackwood explained. "I will," I said, freeing my last hand from the binds. What he didn't realize is that with all of his monologue, and the questions I had been feeding him, I was slowly loosening my binds with each wiggle and movement in retaliation. Lurching forward, I grabbed onto his collar, pulling him into a vicious headbutt. The impact sent Dr. Blackwood reeling backwards, his grip on consciousness loosening as he staggered. Seizing the moment, I lunged off the table, adrenaline coursing through my veins despite the searing pain in my abdomen. With a swift motion, I grabbed a nearby surgical instrument, holding it in a defensive stance as I faced my adversary. Dr. Blackwood, recovering from the blow, snarled with rage, his once calm demeanor now replaced with a feral intensity. The room seemed to shrink around us, the tension thickened with each passing second. This was my chance to stop Blackwood's twisted plans. As he lunged forward, I met his attack head-on. The clang of metal reverberated through the room. Blow after blow, we fought with an intensity born of desperation and determination. Despite my injuries, I refused to yield, driven by a fire burnt under me to protect myself and the others from Blackwood's actions. In a final swift move, I delivered a powerful front kick, sending Blackwood crashing to the ground. The room fell silent, the echoes of our struggle fading into the darkness. Coughing, he sat in the corner, laughing with blood spilling down his face. "You know, it's too late to save any of these lying on the tables. I would have released you. You know that, right? I would have simply taken your memory from today out of your brain and left you in your bed to wake up thinking you had a fun night," he said with final resolve as he watched me grab the scalpel from the ground, taking slow steps near him. Looking down over him, it was my turn to laugh. Kneeling down to eye level with him, I grabbed him by his hair, delivered a final message to him. Fuck you and your little science experiment. And I sliced deep into his throat, watching the life fade from his eyes. I eventually found an exit door, which led me to a storm drain deep in the woods far from my campus. It took me 2 hours to limp my way onto the main road and flag down a passing car. Pulling over, I was rushed into the hospital and later interrogated by some men in suits. My guess is CIA. Here I am now, writing my final entrance. I think I heard them say something about trying a new medical process on me to help me heal quicker.